Last week on a stream with Sinatra Says, I covered an article that I think deserves a little bit more of my time. The article comes from NBC News, yes, fake news, and is written by Marcy Bianco. The title: The patriarchal race to colonize Mars is just another example of male entitlement. I can't think of any other way of phrasing that title that wouldn't have got me any more interested. Congratulations, Marcy. The presumed right to use and abuse something and then walk away to conquer something new is a hallmark of colonialism. I'm so glad you chose colonialism and not male privilege, because that's the first word that came into my head as a suitable replacement for colonialism. What does a midlife crisis look like in the 21st century? As stated on the earlier mentioned stream I did last week with Sinatra, it would probably resemble a mid-40s balding hipster with a top knot. Frittering away your life savings on a red sports car is so last century. Well, muscle cars are much better anyway. Instead, today's man who is grappling with the limitations of his mortality, not spends $90 million on a rocket to launch a $100,000 electric car helmed by a robot by the name of Starman into space. So, if you had millions of dollars, wouldn't you want to do something that people will be talking about? It's nice though that you've taken what he's done and assumed it has something to do with his mortality as an encouragement for him doing it in the first place. Way to jump the gun there. And I like the name Starman. It immediately made me think of Paul Stanley, but that's Star Child. Thank you to all those who wrote it in the chat of that aforementioned stream. We want a new space race. SpaceX founder Elon Musk said in a press conference shortly after the launch of his company's Falcon Heavy rocket and his Tesla Roadster into space earlier in February. Just a quick point. He spent $90 million on a rocket, but he also spent money doing his hair. He could have easily been a hipster. Like a child, he gleefully continued, "Space races are exciting, I agree. Whether it be the first person to land a car on Mars or have one orbit Saturn, it doesn't matter. Space is fascinating. There's only so much we can do here on our planet anyway, so why not blow some cash if we have it, doing something fun?" And I don't mean now saying, let's go and buy a star, because that's totes exciting, although I really do want to buy a new telescope. And Musk isn't the only billionaire looking to enter the space race. Amazon's Jeff Bezos has his private aerospace company Blue Origin. Surprised it's just not called Amazon Prime. Although if the space race gets hot enough, do you think he'll be delivering all the way to Mars with Prime's next day delivery? While Virgin's Richard Branson, a prominent adventurer who failed on multiple occasions in a hot air balloon to go around the world. It's hilarious. If he had a spaceship, it would probably also be a hot air balloon. Created Virgin Galactic back in 2004, I remember this. It is quite exciting still. These men, particularly Musk, are not only heavily invested in who can get their rocket into space first, but colonizing Mars, well, why not? Can you imagine how much a piece of Mars rock would sell for on eBay? And I don't mean stick a rock with the word Mars written on, or a Mars bar that's been frozen in space. It'd be kinda cool. And let's not forget here, Mars is also open for exploration. One would surely want to explore it, see if it has any resources we can absolutely milk the fuck out of. The desire to colonize, to have unquestioned, unchallenged, and automatic access to something, to any type of body, and to use it at will, is a patriarchal one. It's nice to know that you can equate that to men only, because it's not like any of this could exist for women. For example, space is exclusionary to men. That doesn't exist, right? Having control over who you have sex with. That's not... Women don't have control of that. We have arranged marriages to fix that problem, right? Totally patriarchal. Indeed, there is no ethical consideration among these billionaires about whether this should be done. There's no ethical discussion, it's fun. They're billionaires. They've worked for the money, they've earned the money. They get to do whatever they want with their money. If I had the money, I'd probably be making an NX-01. I would honestly be trying to make the Enterprise. Maybe the NX or statements. Who knows? Something to consider for the future, perhaps. I did hear someone won 78 million on the Euro Millions last week. Maybe I should go find their ticket. Rather, the conversation is when it will be done. Rightly so. What's wrong with that? This is the thing I get from your article. Something about everything they do is wrong. But what is wrong about trying to beat your friends? About trying to be the first one to land a car on Mars? Hell, if they can, set up a race. Not just the one in space to get there, but when their cars get there, have a track. What's wrong with that? It sounds amazing, and yet you, Marcy, are picking because, it involves men. There are some very wealthy women out. Perhaps you should reach out to them at one of your mother's meetings. Oh no, they don't exist because that's a woman's only environment. Doesn't exist. Reach out to one of these rather wealthy women and ask them to enter the space race. If they want to. Bear in mind, they do get to choose. because in the eyes of these intrepid explorers, this is the only way to save humanity. Well, if that's true, that is quite the bullshit turn of phrase. It is the same instinctual and cultural force that teaches men that everything and everyone in their line of vision is theirs for the taking. I feel like you've taken an aspect of opportunity and turned it into what you consider to be a negative. You know, just like walking up to a woman and grabbing her by the pussy. Yeah, because that's how that went down. It's not like everyone's heard the audio, right? I want to be clear. I think we should be a multi-planet species, not a single planet species on another planet, Musk said at the 2015 Vanity Fair New Establishment Summit. Cool. When we think of aliens and we use the term Martian, we can actually use the term Martian to describe someone born on Mars, which is incredibly exciting. This opens up so many opportunities and encourages us and encourages our scientists to do more, be better. Let's not forget here, it isn't quite possible to live on Mars totally. We'd have to do something drastic to make it work. But if we could, now that's something. What kind of future do you want to have? Do you want to have a future where we are forever confined to one planet, or one where we are on many planets? I like the idea of moving to Mars and leaving all the religious nuts, only the nuts, leaving them here. Just leave them here. And I mean any religion, any cult, any massive collectivist group of identitarian fucks who like to use tiny little things to attack each other based on identity. Sound familiar? This Columbusing attitude, a strident business acumen laced with an imperialist ethos, comes with an air of benevolence. Sweet. Musk doesn't just want to colonize Mars to satisfy his ego. I've read the Vanity Fair interview. I don't think it was so much about that. I think it was just fun and exciting. But sure, equate it with ego. No, he wants to colonize Mars to help his fellow humans. He's a humanitarian. And then he'll become a Martian? Probably still humanitarian. Let's go with that. I really think there are two fundamental paths for humans. One path is we stay on Earth forever, and some eventual extinction event wipes us out. Nice to know he has the extremes in his head. Sounds like a right nerd though, right? Either that or we just watch Mad Max, or Resident Evil, or iLegend. In this way, colonizing Mars is a collective life insurance policy. Yeah, although, considering the last 500 years of colonization on this planet alone, one could wonder whose lives, according to Musk and other rich white men like himself, are worth being insured. How about those that strive to be better? How about those that look past identity? How about those that want to help improve the species as a whole by doing things truly breathtaking and groundbreaking? And again, noting the white and man, you've narrowed down your hatred just a little bit. But again, this impulse to enter the space race isn't simply the embodiment of the American spirit of invention or forward-thinking entrepreneurship. You left out fun. Neither is it driven by the kind of nationalist Cold War fervor that inspired the creation of America's space program in the 1950s. When I go to America, I'm going to visit NASA. Maybe I'll do a meetup there. That'd be cool. Rather, the impulse to colonize lands, to colonize peoples, and now that we may soon be technologically capable of doing so, colonizing space has its origins in gendered power structures. Those same gendered power structures that are diminishing so much every single day, making any argument you truly have inert. Entitlement to power, control, domination, and ownership, which is why I don't think you have much of a leg to stand on, because those things don't exist as much as they used to. Meritocracy is ever so slightly different. You know, the whole, you have the right skills, you will succeed, unless you're really, really rich and, you know, British and went to Eton or something. The presumed right to use and abuse something and then walk away to colonize something. Right, I think I've heard that a few times in this already. The Friday before SpaceX's launch, legendary astronaut Buzz Aldrin reiterated to me over lunch that it is imperative that we talk about space exploration in terms of migration rather than using words like colonize or settle when talking about going to Mars. Am I the only one that thinks that still sounds exciting? The idea of moving to another planet? It's like resetting a server on 7 Days to Die. You get a do-over, but the terrain becomes a little bit more uninhabitable. Yeah. Through a feminist lens, Aldrin's deliberate word choice revealed an important reality of the space race. This 21st century form of imperialism is the direct result of men giving up on the planet they have all but destroyed. Not entirely true. Okay, for that to be true, we have to accept that the world is currently beyond economical repair, or a BER for short. That's tech talk, by the way, which I don't believe is the case. I believe as we've become more divided, certainly in the political and religious landscape, that we aren't able to reach a common ground on many issues. The world is not destroyed. Certainly if you look at it from a scientific perspective with the whole global warming thing, That's not entirely the case at all. Yes, we are using up our natural resources, but we are trying to change it. Not just men, women too. And I don't know where you get the assertion from that men are giving up on the planet. If that is derived, for example, from less men attending college or university, no. It means they've changed their focus and they're making the personal choice to not pursue an academic career. I'm sure there are other aspects, but quite frankly, I can't be bothered to think of it. As if history hasn't proven that men go from one land to the next, drunk on megalomania and the privilege of indifference. I don't think it's a privilege to not give a shit. Apathy is not a privilege. The raping and pillaging of the earth, nice language, and the environmental chaos that doing so has unleashed are integral to the process of colonization and the connection of the treatments. I just want to say now that you equate all of the bad things with men, so let's look at what women do when they're in charge. And the only examples I can think of are them living in mud huts with malaria. I think there's a meme of it, with people in mud huts talking about how if we give the men power, they screw things up, and the comment underneath reads, "While you're suffering malaria, I'm eating pizza. Yes, ladies, you truly won." There's a bit more bollocks here about global warming affecting women more than men. That's only because we turn the AC up, that's all. Now, the article does continue on for quite some time, talking about how men are bad and how women have a better environmental conscience when it comes to, looking after it. There's one last paragraph I want to address. The masculine insecurities everywhere in American culture, and increasingly American politics. I don't think it's so much masculine insecurity. If the DNC has taught us anything, is that identitarian politics don't work. And when you start pushing away core voters, they turn to the next best thing. And that is the one major thing that can truly piss all of you off. And that is somebody that is incredibly politically incorrect, blunt, and very much a no-fucks-given kind of person. Trump himself has spoken about how making sure a nuclear bomb is bigger and more powerful and can often be found bragging about building a beautiful great wall. So, let him build his wall. I don't really give a shit about. I live on an island. Right now there is a robot dummy propped up in a driver's seat of a red Tesla convertible flying through space away from the man-made garbage fires devouring Earth. Houston, we have a problem, and it's the patriarch. I hope this was a Poe. I really do. To whoever it was that linked this to me on Discord, thank you. Now just before we finish, because I haven't done this in a while, somebody made a stream making me a sandwich, and I thought we'd end the video with that. So take it away, Wild Tanuki. Dazzle.
But how y'all doing today? And because I'm a man of my word, I try to be when I can, I'm making a sandwich. Good old-fashioned sandwich. The American way. And what do I got to drink today? A nice old-style port, just like I promised. Now, for the sandwich, we got some cherry wood, smoked ham, Italian meat words that I don't know, a little bit of provolone, a little bit of salami, a little turkey. I might have accidentally doubled up on ham. No, I did not. What I did get is this bad boy. Oh, you know what this is? This is smoked mozzarella cheese. I'm very excited to make this. Got some nice sliced up potatoes tomatoes, because I can't talk right. And they're soaking right now in some nice garlic vinaigrette, because I love that shit, and we got a nice baguette.
A few moments later.
Oh, look at that beautiful layering.